So now we are ready for our second company, Plotter. Make your way on up to the stage. Make your way on up to the stage. From Cleveland. I'm from Cincinnati originally, so we will let that pass. A social network for maps that lets you crowdsource information and find maps from friends and experts. You have 5 minutes right there, and it'll start when you begin.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I'm the founder and CEO of Plotter. Last year, I came to this great city for the very first time to attend South by Southwest. The problem, was that I had actually all these great recommendations from friends and all these cool places that I found scattered in multiple locations. I had some in my notebook, I had some in emails, I had some on Facebook. So I thought to myself, there has to be a better way for me to organize all of these locations on my phone. So I got to thinking, we have social apps and platforms for just about everything. We have Twitter to share our thoughts. We have Instagram to share our photos. We even have Pinterest to share our ideas. But we don't have an app that lets us create and share maps. Well, that is until now. I'd like to introduce you to Plotter. Plotter is a mobile-first social app that lets you take all of your favorite locations and organize them onto simple and shareable maps. You can easily crowdsource maps from friends, and you can discover maps in the map room, which is what we like to think of as the App Store for maps. So a lot of the apps out there that focus on maps and locations right now, they focus on singular locations, where we focus on groups of locations. Let's take a look at some of the maps that I'm using right now on Plotter. I have a map that I'm using for my April trip to Los Angeles. I'm also using Plotter for house hunting. Instead of getting all these sheets of MLS printouts from a real estate agent, I'm actually having my real estate agent put recommendations on a map for me so I can drive around and actually look at all the houses on my phone. I can actually get recommendations real time from the real estate agent whenever she finds a new one. I can see all my friends' maps that I've taken, also maps from the map room that I've taken. We have a really nice, simple view on the map screen. When I actually have a map that's one of my friends, it shows their picture in the pin. We also have a really friendly and easy-to-use kind of split view, so you can see all the active plots you have, and they're ordered in distance, so the closest one to you is first. We're pulling in Google Places data, so you can see photos, reviews, websites, store hours, all inside the app. This is actually a picture or a profile of my friend Chad. I could see all of the maps he's created. I can even see all of his friends and the maps that his friends has created. So this one map that he's created is Best Wings in Cleveland. And I'm looking at the list, and I say, you know what? The best place that I've actually got wings in Cleveland is the Greenhouse Tavern. It's not even on there. I can easily recommend a plot to him. I just hit recommend a plot. I get my search box, type in Greenhouse Tavern, select it, and it goes right off to his map. You can just actually simply add it or ignore it if you didn't want it. So we think the power of crowdsourcing maps is going to be very powerful. This is the map room. For us, we're really trying to create an ecosystem where people can search, explore, and discover maps of just about anything. We're also really excited about the map room because we think it's our opportunity for revenue. We're building a platform where brands and businesses can actually log in and create premium maps. They can purchase featured ad placements in the map room, and they can actually offer contextual ads and specials to users who download that map. Right now, we're live in the iOS App Store as of last week, but we're also building an Android app and a fully functional website. We also have an API in the works, so consumers, brands, and companies can tap into the Plotter ecosystem. But where do you really need an upgraded map experience? Your car, right? So we've been talking to major car manufacturers about bringing Plotter to the connected car. So you create a map on one device, and it'll be saved everywhere in the cloud. Our team is the definition of agile. We've built Plotter in 4.5 months, and I really think that's a testament to how well we work together. As CEO, I lead the team in business dealings and product development. Chad is our technology guy, who's a tech wizard, iOS developer. Tim is our award-winning designer, and Chris is our operations guy, who really cracks the whip and makes sure we don't miss a deadline. So for us, we're an extremely passionate team. We have local interests from investors. We're moving extremely fast. We have a ton of momentum. But we're here today to look at all these partners and investors because we're looking to get faster, smarter, as we really try to redefine the social mapping experience. Thank you.
Bob, tell us
Have you
what you
raised
think.
money yet? How much?
We've raised, pennies. It's that we're bootstrapping here to South by, so haven't raised a dime yet.
Glad to hear it. And how much money do you think you need to get into the big time?
We've done a lot of work. I think we need probably $1.5 million to $2 million, and that kind of ranges just on how big the team that we want to scale is to be. So we have plans basically in 3 areas to kind of grow. We obviously want user acquisitions, people. So we want growth hackers, we want marketing and PR people. We want to get as many people as we possibly can. The other area for just getting funding is just product development. We're working so fast, but we can't get out onto all these platforms with the team we have. So we just need people, we need developers who can work on different platforms and just get all the features and functionality that we haven't even been able to get into Plotter as it is today, just in there. And the third thing is we want people to really look at the revenue models very closely from the start. I think we think it's important to look at revenue from the beginning. We can go out there and say, hey, let's create a great full-functioned map app, and we think we could do that, but let's also look at the revenue. Let's see how we can actually build a business section to this and start getting brands to tie on and use Plotter too.
I'll save the judges the trouble of asking you what your revenue model is. How do you make money?
So the goal is to have a business account. So a business, and we come from the advertising industry, so we have tons of contacts with large companies, and we even have some opportunities of them just trying to jump onto us right as we're kind of going and launching. So we think if these brands can log into the Plotter ecosystem, they can create premium maps. So it wouldn't be a lot of revenue, but we can actually take a percentage if they create a premium map, for $1 and people are downloading them. We think the opportunity is the map room. We think if we can create a map room, which is kind of like the app store for maps, where we have featured maps, we have branded maps, we have editor's picks. We'll kind of use that as like an ad store where you can actually go and buy featured placements. And just all of those feature placements adding up, I think we can get some. We have pretty good revenue models right now of us getting to $3-4 million within a year. But also, it's kind of going the route of Foursquare is doing with their Sync and American Express deals. A brand can create a map and actually offer ads, specials, and deals, and that would show up in the map they created.
So I'm a big fan of this idea and the concept, and so I mean it's all going to really come down to the product execution. I just downloaded it, so I'm just playing with it. But I think you're onto something that could be quite big if you execute well on product and pay attention to what the engagement is with users. But doing kind of my frustration is always when I find something on a map or I'm searching for something and then trying to get the directions to it. And if you can kind of do some magic there in terms of bringing a social layer to that, I think you might be onto something really interesting. My question to you is, what do you where are you based, first of all?
We're actually based out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio, and that's where you want to stay?
What's that? Sorry.
And that's where you want to stay?
We really love Cleveland. I'm originally from New York, so I've lived in San Francisco, I've lived in LA. We think that there's an opportunity to actually kind of incubate and grow, a tech atmosphere in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, we know we might not find all the people we need in Cleveland, but we think we want to be based there. Yeah.
So I'm an investor in a company called Uber, and one of the interesting ideas could also be, not just for companies like that, but others, is almost a way to make Plotter into a platform that they can tie into. So if I'm going somewhere, it would be interesting to be able to see kind of the Plotter points on the map.
Yeah, and that's something that we totally, we've had probably 10 companies come up to us just after presenting yesterday and say, one of the interesting one was a wedding website where they were saying, hey, we're creating wedding websites all the time for people. They have out-of-town guests. Right now we're just using this very basic, simple, boring Google map that gets thrown on our website. If we have a tool that we can actually create a widget for them, and to think about all the store locators out there, they're all, usually the boring Google or MapQuest integrations. We really want to create a full-featured widget, so you can create maps and display them on your site, and they're instantly in the cloud, so a person can go and download them on the phone, or they can pull them up in their car, right when they're driving around.
I actually used Google Maps for my wedding, and it worked quite well. What is it that you do that's different that adds that layer? to that? I mean, because Google Maps allows you to create maps, it allows you to share maps, it allows you to recommend points to other people. What is the, you clearly see something that is different.
Yeah, so Google has My Maps, which is great. It works on a desktop, but when you pull it up on the phone, it kind of stops there. So we're really creating the first mobile app where you can create and take all those multiple locations and put them on your phone. And you can layer different maps on top of each other. You can share those. We also think the crowdsourcing, and kind of what we found out here being at South by, is that there really isn't anything else where you can actually crowdsource maps. So creating a map, posting on Facebook and Twitter, and all of a sudden, we just tested it, with our Twitter account this week, and we got probably 50 different recommendations for a map, asking for the best breakfast place in Austin.
I got one more thing. I would add the map room as like the first thing you see instead of just going to a blank map.
That's actually one of the things that we're currently in development. The problem for us is that our biggest enemy is time. We got here so quickly to release at South by, but the two major things that we're going to be focusing on is really kind of opening up the social graph. That when you hit the home screen, it's not just a blank map. You get there and you get your kind of feed of who's doing what. You get to see the maps that are around you, or friends' maps that might be there that you might be interested in, and seeing different maps in the map room.
Maria.
Yeah, hi. Thanks a lot for the presentation. How many people are actually currently using Plotter? And aside from natural sharing and word of mouth, which this lends itself to very well, what other plans do you have for user acquisition?
Yeah, so we launched on March 1st in the iOS App Store. And since then, yesterday we had over 2,000 users. We're tracking them extremely carefully. I mean, we're on there every half hour looking at, we're using mixed panels, so we have down to the person and their email address every second of usage in the app, what they're tapping on, what they're actually doing. We have all those funnels tracked. So I think for us, that's clearly giving us first the validation that features are working. We're seeing some things we have to improve upon, having that social graph and social stuff more prominent. For user acquisition, I think our goal right now is to try to get the map room in a place where we can start having brands that tie in. So if we can go to a big brand like Wendy's or Taco Bell and have them put an offer in Plotter, we think that people will see, oh, I can download Plotter, and use the Taco Bell map, and they can try to actually get an offer. So I think that's kind of the other, that's one way to acquire users. Being in the marketing and advertising industry, as well, as we kind of, we're marketers, we're advertisers. We really want to create this brand and get this brand story out there. We think we have a really interesting story to tell, and that's kind of, I think, what you're going to see next is a lot of videos and viral stuff.
John.
Yep. So one of the things I think a lot about is how do you get onto the home screen of a phone? If you're on the home screen, people will use you, and it's kind of a indication of daily engagement, like repeated use. And if you're not on the home screen, then people tend to forget about you. So, I guess my first question is, do you think people are going to have space for two map apps on their phone? Because they're going to have maps to know how to get from one place to the other, and then they'll use yours for trying to figure out hotspots and things, I guess. Is that what you think will happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to answer that, I said this the other day, it's like, we have a really great mail app on our phones, right? But companies like Sparrow and Mailbox, they're able to come up so quickly and be adopted so quickly because they're making a better mail app. The Google and Apple map apps are great, but all you can do is either search or get directions. So we're really trying to go after people that can do more with their map app, have social functionality, create multiple maps, and layer different locations on the one map at the same time. I think that's the people we're going after. And I think being here at South by, we've had so many people come up to us and say, hey, I need this. This is a tool. There's one thing to create this social functionality where you can kind of share and have fun with friends, but we're trying to create something where you can actually use this as a utility to navigate the world. And it's not something you can do currently with other apps.
Got about 45 seconds left.
Can you do directions with this too, then?
Right now, we don't have directions, but it'll actually, when you find a plot, you can hit directions, and it'll give you an option of either Apple or Google Maps. So if you like Apple, you can go to Apple. If you like Google, you can go to Google.
Okie dokie.
30 seconds left. Any last questions?
You think there's a killer app that is a particular use of maps that's going to lead the charge in the proliferation of your platform?
I think it'll be us. Is that what you're, just as a killer app?
No, a killer app of your app. That is, what will people use your app for? Will they use it for weddings? Will that be the big one, weddings?
I have actually a good use case, and you said your wife's birthday was today. So we've been working so hard on Plotter. Actually, our founder, one of the founders, Chris, his wife just shared a map with him yesterday, of all the places that he's going to have to take her, date locations when he gets back to Cleveland. So
That's not cool to say to my wife.
she can create.
Now I'm gonna have to do
Well,
stuff
but I
when I
mean,
get
like
home.
eating could be a
Sorry,
killer.
but,
Eating
yeah,
could
there's
be
so
a
many
killer
areas.
app.
It's eating and travel. We've there's the house hunting thing. I mean, people that are just traveling the area. I think we've had people from other countries say, "Hey, I'm coming to this location. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to either ask my friends or I'm going to plot something out." And right now they're just writing it down on a piece of paper, so they can use Plotter to plot all that stuff out, ask for their friends' recommendations, and it all gets compiled into one map.
And with that, we are done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.